Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be looking at how to use the law of cosines to solve triangles. So in the first point here, the law of cosines is used for solving right and non-right triangles. And just a reminder that non-right triangles are also called oblique triangles. When can you use the law of cosines? You can use the law of cosines when you know some information about the triangle. So one possible set of information is side, side, side. And that simply means that you know the lengths of all three sides of the triangle, but you don't know any angles. And then the second possibility for the law of cosines is when you know side, angle, side. That means you know two side lengths and the measure of the angle that is included between those two sides. I have examples of both of those in this video. And then finally, the three possible forms or formulas for the law of cosines are in this box here. Let's take a look at some patterns. This way, suppose that the letters A, B, and C aren't the letters representing the triangle. So you'd have to be able to formulate the law of cosines using, let's say, D, E, and F, or X, Y, and Z. So in the first equation, notice that it starts with A and it ends with A, but there's no other A's in between. So if you can memorize the pattern with the two other letters, it's kind of easy to put this together. So you have a B squared and a C squared, and then you have 2BC. So notice B and C repeat twice here in the middle. In the second equation, the letters are just shifted around. So again, just like the first one, if this starts with B, it's going to end with B. And then notice in the middle, there's no other B's, but you have A and C twice. And finally, you have the third one that starts with C and ends with C. And in the middle, you have A and B twice. Okay? So that's the pattern there with the law of cosines, supposing that you have to write the equation without A, B, and C. How about with other letters? Let's do an example now. Let's solve for side B in this triangle. So if we're going to solve for side B, we have to figure out which formula to use because the three formulas have side B in it. All right, so, secondly, this is a side, angle, side type problem. All right, and that's because I know this side and that side, and I know the angle B, which is included between the 15 and the 20. So that is side, angle, side. All right, now, I don't know angle C and I don't know angle A. Since I know angle B, I'm going to use the second formula in the law of cosines. Why is that? Why don't I use the first one or the third one? Well, it's all about this last term here. That's the only term in those formulas that has angle B. So I have to use that. The others have angle A or angle C, which we don't know. So you have no choice but to use this one here. So B we're solving for, so we get B squared equals, side A is the 15, because it's opposite angle A. Side C is 20, because it's opposite angle C, squared, minus 2 times A is 15, C is 20, cosine of angle B, which is 124 degrees, and I get that. Now the nice thing about side, angle, side is typically the way it's set up, you only have one more step left. We're solving for B, so the very next step is to take the square root of both sides to get B by itself. So now I'm going to be taking the square root of all the stuff that I just wrote. So I get 15 squared plus 20 squared minus all this stuff. And all that stuff are numbers. So you could go right to the calculator and take the square root of all that stuff in one step. When you do that, you get side B has a length of about 31 units. Let's look at example number 2. The triangle here shows us that we know the three side lengths but none of the angles. So this is the case where we would state that we have a side, side, side type of problem. And that just simply tells us that we know the lengths of the three sides. And this is the second case where you can apply the law of cosines. So let's say, for example, that we want to solve for angle y. Well, since we don't have A's, B's, and C's here, we're going to have to write our own law of cosines. So the cosine part, remember, always involves the angle. So we know that the formula must have at least a cosine of angle y there. So also remember that if this formula ends with a y, it's going to have to start with a y. So we get little y squared equals, and then in the middle, remember we're going to have the other two letters will repeat themselves twice. So you're going to have an x squared plus a z squared minus 2 times x times z times that cosine of y. All right, so the formula starts with y and it ends with y, and in the middle you have x and z twice. So let's fill in everything that we know. So we know y is 6 because 6 is the side length that is opposite side or angle y. Opposite angle x is the side of length 8, and opposite angle z is side z, length 9. And fill in the rest. Minus 2 times 8 times 9 times cosine of angle y, which we're solving for. Now, what you want to do next is isolate this cosine of y. So you got to move all the numbers to the other side. So we're going to have the 6 squared. First, I can bring over the 8 squared and the 9 squared. Equals negative 2 times 8 times 9 times the cosine of y. And then I can divide both sides by these 3 factors. That will cancel, and I get the cosine of y equals 6 squared minus 8 squared minus 9 squared, which you can work this out on the calculator. I'm just kind of moving a little faster here without having to multiply and square every single number. So now at this point, I've isolated my cosine of y. So what's next? How do I get y by itself? I hope you remember the trig inverse method. So now you take the cosine inverse of each side, which ends up just being the cosine inverse of all those numbers. 6 squared minus 8 squared minus 9 squared over negative 2 times 8 times 9. And then we can round that answer from the calculator, which is about 41 degrees. Okay? So there is angle y. I hope you found this video helpful in using the law of cosines to solve triangles. I am the Math Musician. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Some are math and some are music with me playing the piano. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.